Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
It's Barra here, and you are listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. A lot to get through this week, as always. We've got that fantastic result at the weekend to talk about, and also the preview of the game at Kings Lynn on Good Friday. Will it be a Good Friday? Well, let's find out in the next hour or so. First up to talk about that is none other than the man himself, YouTube sensation, Gareth Holden, aka Iron Army. Thanks for joining us, Gaz. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Glad to be back on a pod. They
This-
outcast me.
No, we haven't.
I'm joking.
We're always begging you to come back on, but
Yeah, they are. No, I've been busy with work and stuff, so I'm here.
you're a busy man. You're in demand. But if we're talking about podcast comebacks, where else to go than none other than Mark? No, not Marco. Becky. Thanks for joining us, Becky. It's great to have you back.
Hello, it's great to be back. The sun is shining. I get to see your three wonderful faces. What more could I could ask for?
I hope you were citing Oasis there when you said it's good to be back and not another artist who will go unnamed. Marco, looks like that joke's gone straight over you, but thank you for joining us nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not sure about Becky being all these glory hunters just coming back for the last three pods.
You can piss right off.
just coming back for the tickets and the podcasts. Not their own fault, Marco.
But no, rejuvenated after Saturday was very nearly a really good Saturday with a Brackley result, but I'm sure we'll come on to that. But yeah, no, feeling good, feeling a little bit more optimistic this week than last week.
Well, it was a fantastic result. Let's start there, Gareth. Let's try and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's tactically try and analyse what happened on Saturday. What kind of game was it, that 2-0 victory over Spennymoor Town?
We scored two and they never, tactically.
This is your one-stop shop for analysis on the Iron
You know
Hour
what I mean?
podcast.
No, well, all I'll say...
It's Jimmy Dean reincarnated. We scored two, you know what I mean?
No, well, no, I think we set up well. Federa starting on the wing. We were going to go out for the attack from the beginning. I saw the first 30 minutes, 25 minutes of the first half. I had Kendall with me, so we ended up going inside because she was bored. But no, I just thought we went at it from the off, really. We know we needed goals. We know we need to get in front, to take the lead, and that's what we did.
Fantastic result. I mean, Marco, one thing you and I have spoken about over the course of the season is the fact that we've actually been quite narrow at times, but that wasn't the case, was it, at the weekend? I mean, the surprise was obviously Mo coming back in, and he really attacked those channels.
Yeah, 100%. Like Gareth said, the first 25, 30 minutes was very positive, and that was mainly due to our wing play. Who'd have thought we'd been saying that at this point of the season, how we started with a back five. So, no, really positive, really good to see. I do feel that front three offers a lot more than when Beck's up there. I think we can hurt teams in a lot more ways. Federa, that first 20, looked like a League One player. He was fantastic. And yeah, they're right back really did struggle. And when Roberts obviously got their left back carded early on, I thought maybe have Federa having a run at him. But no, look, tactically, it was after the goal, it was a little bit cagey after that first 30. But look, later on in the game, I think our class maybe showed. We had good substitutions with Carlton. I won't mention Beck. But yeah, no, look, really positive. We just need to keep doing our job. But yeah, the wing play was really good to see. And like I said, I just think, especially at Glanford Park, where we should be on the front foot against teams like that, it's a really good way of not wearing down teams, but a lot of options attacking.
Just before we move on, I'll stick with you, Marco, because you touched on Carlton there and his goal. And interestingly enough, that obviously came from out wide. He's moving in there for that goal. Is that kind of a surprise for you? Because a lot of his goals so far this season have come from balls into the box.
Yeah, and I mean, just minutes before that was a chance where I could have killed him where he didn't pass. He just didn't take that extra touch to Scales, but which is where you think Carlton, like you said, Carlton has been at his best in that 6-yard box. But no, I mean, I sent you the angle of that the other day of the goal, and it was a really lovely finish, beating his man. I think that just shows the type of player he is. He's definitely a confidence player. We mentioned on the podcast a few weeks back that seems to sort of be hitting form at a good time. And look, there's not many teams in this league who can bring a player of Carlton's quality on who can do that. So, yeah, look, it's a good problem to have. I don't know if we're going to mention it later, but with the Whitehall dilemma at a minute, Carlton's definitely going to be involved in these these last 3 games, and with Federa, Roberts, arguably Beeston, and Carlton, there's a lot of good options that we could play out wide. So yeah, it's exciting, good problems to have, and I think he's going to be a big part of this running.
I would say so. Now, Becky, the other really impressive thing, the massive takeaway from that game is another clean sheet, the 25th clean sheet of the season. How impressive has that defence been over the course of the season, in particular the last couple of weeks?
I think having that defence is always a great headache who to put in between Boise and Will Evans. It's a great headache for Butler to have. I think having a strong and solid defence, especially back four, is what we've been missing for a few seasons now. It's always been very cagey. It's been replaced. Everyone's been replaced, so on forth. So I think having that stability this season has helped massively and has helped secure a great defence. And obviously having Fitzsimmons in goal helps massively as well. But it reminds me of the times when maybe Joe Murphy used to play. He had a solid back four in front of him. And because there was very little changes, there was only changes due to injury or suspensions, then it was very successful compared to the last few seasons, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there's a good comparison there. I think he's clearly the best goalkeeper we've had probably since, what would you say, Matt Gilks?
I think he's a lot better than Matt Gilks.
He's very strong.
You're comparing National League North and League One. I'm not sure about
He's
that.
very dominant, isn't he, Fitzsimmons? He's very dominant, but then we have very dominant defenders as well. Like I said, it's a great headache to have. Who do you pick between Boise and Evans sometimes? They're both absolutely amazing to watch, and either one of them can hold a ball, they can defend very well, they're up in the air. It's a great headache to have. So I guess that helps having a good defence and having good people. If someone is injured, we can substitute them and someone just as strong comes in.
Can I just say as well? Can I just say as well about the defence that Michael Kelly, since he's come in,
Yeah,
what a difference he's made as well. I know you say about Fitzsimmons being dominant, but Michael Kelly's always talking, always shouting, always letting people know where they need to be, and I think that's helped massively as well, and will help massively in the final 3 games.
he has a point to prove, Kelly, doesn't he? I think he has a point to prove. He was left on the bench for quite a while, and now he's actually been given a chance. He's taken it with both hands, and it's delightful to see, and it's great. You don't have that worry that you did have last season, or maybe the start of this season, that you don't know if your defence is strong enough to keep goals out. But with these ones, as the season's gone on, it's got a lot more confident, and you know someone's going to be there.
Okay, so we've got Gareth and Becky there making the case for Michael Kelly, probably to start between now and the end of the season. Michael, what's your views on that? Because, you and I have spoken on the phone about his kind of performance on Saturday, and goal withstanding, maybe you're not as convinced?
No, I think, look, Kelly at Chester, I thought was fantastic, but I also think there could have been many right backs to do the same, just purely because Chester offered nothing. So Kelly pretty much had the key to the town. He was he could do whatever he wanted. He had a lot of space to go forward. He wasn't really relied on defensively because he wasn't needed, and that's nothing down to him. It's just Chester didn't really come at us. Similar to Saturday, I don't think they really offered much down that line. There were a couple of times where one-on-one he didn't look as sound, but look, he's a left back playing right back. You've got to cut him a bit of slack. No, I'm fine with Kelly, and I think the goal maybe made him out to be a little bit better than he was. But look, I do think a good left winger would soon realise that he is a left back playing right back, and I think he could be exploited. But look, I'm more than happy to Kelly to see out the season, depending on how bad Rose's injury is. But I would be favouring Rose if he was fit. And I mean, I'm probably not going to be the most popular saying that, because I do like Kelly, and I agree with Gareth when he says he's very vocal. It's clear to see the players rate. He's a good player. But no, for me personally, I'd go Rose, and that's nothing against Kelly. I'm just thinking, and I think Butler's maybe the same. I think rule number 1 for Butler is a clean sheet, and I think we've probably got more chance of doing that with Rose. But take nothing away from Kelly, another good goal. And yeah, it's a good, again, are we sick of saying it? It's a good problem to have.
No, it's good to have the balance. It's good to have the different opinions. I'm sure it's kind of representative of what the fan base are talking about in the Donny Road end. Gareth, let's talk about another player. I'm just going to pick one at random. Now, Joe Rowley has impressed me in the last couple of weeks. I thought he was particularly decent on Saturday, and actually it was his pass, I believe, that set up Carlton's goal, the second goal to really kind of clinch the game. What's he been like for you? Has he been as equally impressive?
He's been impressive. He's another one of those players. For me, he's a bit like Scales in that he does lots of work in the middle, and maybe it doesn't get noticed as much as it should do. But yeah, no, he likes to get forward. He can defend. He can put a tackle in, and I just think it's these type of players we need in these final 3 games now. That that the team seem to be gelling together more and more and working for each other. But yeah, no, I think it's a good addition in the team for us. He's a playmaker. He make things work. He put the ball in there for Carton, like you say. So yeah, it's good that we've got the players like that at our disposal. Go on, Marco.
Just speaking about Rowley, then nearly scored an absolute cracker. I don't know which defender it was who played the ball over the top, but when he took that touch, and then a goal-saving tackle from their defender. I don't know if you were watching that point, Gareth, but he got absolutely flattened just as he was about to pull the trigger. But the actual touch to take it out of the air was fantastic, and I couldn't agree with Gareth more. Where he's very similar to Scales, and I've said it before on previous podcasts. The definition of a Butler midfielder, nothing flash, but you are going to get 100% every game. High work rate, intensity. Not always the best, obviously, going forward, but look, when we play that front 3, it's okay to have midfielders like that. And I've been really impressed across the whole midfield 3 with Clunan, Rowley and Scales. I think they make each other better than what obviously Clunan lacks with that. Those 2 make up for it. No, it's good to see.
They never stop either. They never stop creating chances, defending chances. They get their foot stuck in. They just never stop. Like you wonder how they have so much energy, all 3 of them. It's amazing to see. I see Scales and Rowley and even Clunan. He's just shouting constantly. He's shouting behind him. He's shouting in front of him. Scales is literally running. If we could put a tracker on him, I bet he runs miles.
Well, I would hope they have got a tracker on him. Otherwise, Butts is out of a job.
Yeah, but I want to see it. That's what I mean. I want to see it. Do you know as you see it? I want to see it because I bet it's a shitload.
I bet it is as well. Becky, one
Yes.
absence in the past couple of weeks has obviously, I say a couple of weeks, I'm being very kind there, a couple of months, has been Danny Whitehall. Now, he's been instrumental for us all season, and clearly him vacating the team leaves a massive gap. My first question would be, how well do you think we've navigated this period of time without him? And then the second half to that is, how much are we kind of crying out for him to come back?
I think we've navigated it very well. I was worried that we would collapse because we base the team around one player. However, we haven't. We've dug deep, but we miss him massively. He just brings something no one else does. He's a shithouse, let's be honest. He creates chances. He's not afraid to go up there. He's not afraid to get in the ref's face, which obviously we don't condone here. However, he's just different, and that's what I mean. He's different. He impacts the game massively. Even if he doesn't score, I guarantee someone will be talking about Danny Whitehall on the way home from that game, and that's what we miss. And I hope he is back soon. But if you want my personal opinion, and it's probably wrong, I'm always wrong. I think he might miss Monday. He might miss Friday, but be back Monday. And I think Butler might just be looking ahead for the future to make sure he's 110% fit in case we get to the playoffs, in case we have to go to the playoffs, because we know that it might not just stop at Hereford. We might have to play a few more games. So I think that's what Butler might be doing.
Gareth, would you agree? Would you hold him back, or would you, if you've got him, say, at 80% fit, would you just put him on the bench because if he wins you the game, he wins you the game, right?
It does win you the game, yeah, but we are scoring goals without him. And it's like, like Becky said, I thought when he was out injured for a long time, we thought we'd, collapse. Same type of thing. We'd drop down a bit, no one to score the goals. But others have stepped up to score the goals. And for me, I think, we want players that are on the bench that are 100% fit. I don't want to see an 80% player on the bench having to come on and do something and not being able to do it because they're 80% fit. And also, not just that, I've said it before about other players. It's the match fitness as well.
Mhm.
And I know you're going to say you're going to get match fitness by playing matches, but to do that, I want you to be 100% fit to get that match fitness, not 80%. So for me, I just think, when he's 100%, if he gets 100%, then bring him back. But before then, it's a no from me. As much as I want to see him on the pitch, the same as everyone else, I think he's got to be 100% fit.
Marco, what's your views?
Well, I'm inclined to agree with Becky. I think Friday might come too soon for him. Possibly play some bench. Look, none of us know really, do we? It's been 50-50 for weeks now. So if we said we knew, we'd be lying. Be a big fan of him getting resurrected for Easter Monday. It'd be fantastic. But look, like Gareth said, we have found goals elsewhere. And I think if he was put on the bench when he wasn't 100% fit, I think that sends a wrong message to the rest of the squad. So Butler does need to be careful with that. But look, there's no secret we're a much better side when Danny Whitehall's in it. So it's about getting on that pitch, but doing it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we can definitely all agree on. If I chuck mine in there, I think he might be on the bench for Good Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if I see his name on the team sheet this week. I mean, I understand he was very close. I understand it was touch and go for this weekend. So with that in mind, I am hopeful that his name at least gets named as a substitute. I think starting would be insane.
I just think touch and go is such a dangerous thing to do. You're on the line, and especially like I said, I don't want to be neggy here, but we don't know how long this season's going to go on for, and he is such an impact player. Why risk him now when he's like 80% fit? We don't want touch and go. We want him at full bolt. We want him at full range to go full steam ahead. That's the thing. And while we have players that are willing to score goals, they're working together. They're getting up there. Why change it?
It's a really good point because that playoff final, if we got there, is 4 weeks. It's still 4 weeks into the future. So it's summertime, isn't it? Really.
And not only for obviously we're being selfish, we want him on the pitch soon as, but for himself as well. Obviously, he doesn't want to be making it a lot worse. Football's a short career, and look, he needs to, like I said, he needs to come back the right way. I'm not talking about playoffs. I'm not a big fan of that because we're going to win late.
Yeah, I will just say one thing on that because in Andy Butler's post-match interview, Ollie Turner asked him about some things that have been said online with regards to Whitehall maybe holding himself back. I can tell you right now, there is absolutely zero chance that that's the case. As Butler said, Danny will be desperate to score the goals to take us up. It'll be Butts holding him back. I can 100% guarantee you on that. He'll be
He'll be. I don't know how far away he is from being at the actual top goal scorer in the league. I know Blackett will be winning, won't he? Then Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts, I think, will be second.
I think there should be no discussion of Danny's loyalty to Scunny, and he wants it just as much as any fan. He's passionate. He's really passionate. I mean, he's been on this pod, and look how passionate he was there. He asked to come on, and this is the things. It's great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a great player, but he's a very good guy as well. That's the thing.
I agree. Okay, let's look ahead to Friday then. So we'll kick it off as we always do with our spy in the camp. So to give us a bit of an insight this week on Kings Lynn Town, where better to go than the commentator himself, a man who, as I say, commentates on Kings Lynn Town on a regular basis, Noah Crow. Thanks for joining us, Noah. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
No, it's we do this segment every week, so it's an opportunity really for Scunthorpe fans to get an education as to what to expect and maybe get a bit of a mood in the camp as well. So, how are things going right now for Kings Lynn?
Things right now are going pretty decent considering the 3-1 win we had at Farsley. I mean, if I'm completely honest, it's one of the weirdest atmospheres I've had in at a football game before, obviously because of the things that are going on at Farsley. But performance-wise, everything was pretty good, fast flowing build up play throughout the game. Obviously, we got the early goal from Ross Crane, I think in the 9th minute, and all it was a ball down the right hand side that just carved open the defence, and Ross Crane was through, and he could poke it past. I think it was William Brook that was in the net. So that's going to have confidence at a bit of a high, considering the week prior to that we had a 0-0 draw at home against Chorley. And the week before that, we had a last-minute winner at Leamington from Finley Barnes. So our form has picked up quite quite a lot recently, considering we were in a bit of inconsistent form. But looking ahead to the Scunthorpe game on Friday, everything seems to be very, very good. Everyone's in high spirits, and obviously we're on the playoff push. So there's a lot riding on this game. So obviously there's going to be a few tense moments maybe on Friday, where obviously the managers, the fans, it depends obviously with the amount of people that are coming, will want everybody to like get behind the Kings and boys and everything like that. So if the atmosphere is good, I'm sure it'll be an absolutely amazing game. But from Kings Lynn's point of view, we're confident, but obviously know what Scunthorpe have in their locker, considering of what happened last time out against you lot.
Well, last time out, our place, obviously the Iron were 3-0 winners, but I think the experience we're drawing ourselves more on is the one last season where Kings Lynn beat us 3-1 at their place. Now, looking at last season, you finished 18th, just 5 points above the drop zone, and being one of the only full-time teams in the league, along with obviously Scunthorpe United, South Shields, and Kidderminster, and a few others.
Yeah.
What's that experience like? Was that a disappointment last season for Kings Lynn fans?
Last season was a bit of a blip season, as I'd call it, considering we were obviously we'd had our time in the National League beforehand, come back down, and obviously like 10 years ago there was the whole thing where the club got rebranded and everything, and then working our way up ever since. And then we were dropping up and down between both leagues. And then last season was just we're fighting to actually stay up. But considering, I think that was Adam and Sam's first proper season with the team. Obviously, I'm guessing it took a little bit of time to get grips with it. But towards the end of the season, we went on an absolutely amazing run. I think we got points in like the last 11 games or something. We went on a crazy run that obviously helped us in the end to keep us up. But it's a bit of a different story this season where the players that we got obviously were showing our qualities and everything, and showing that we are one of those teams that are near the top, that can be near the top of the league, looking to fight on going up. So last season was a completely different alternative to this season, because on a personal note, last season I was in the stands as a fan, and now ever since December that's when I came into the club. So I'm starting to realise the difference between being a fan to actually being at the club, and then realising what it was from in the stands last season in a relegation battle to being behind the scenes, pushing near the top of the table and fighting with all the other full-time teams and the other teams that are around in that area. It's been a really good season for us. Obviously, some results haven't gone our way, including the Scunthorpe game where that was 3-0. But considering where we were last season, it's such a big improvement from that where we were about 12 months ago to where we are now. So I think that's why when I said there's a lot on this game, we want to show what we can do and that we are a force to be reckoned with.
Just talk about it from a personal level then. You've obviously talked about your journey from being a fan to being a commentator this season. Has that been a bit of a culture shock for you? Have you kind of seen things like the everyday goings and happenings at a club that have shocked you? Has it been a bit of a rude awakening for you?
But I think it's been a pretty good awakening because I've always dreamed of working at a football club, always dreamed about being near the pitch, obviously commentating on football matches. But because of coming in quite young compared to some people at the club, like I'd like to say I'm one of the youngest people at the club at the moment. It was a bit of an awakening of, this is how everything is. It's all set in stone, how professional it is, and things like that. But you also get to see the behind the scenes of like tactics and how the teams are going to be set up, why we are this way, and kind of what's the word? The emotion behind the football club, if that makes sense. So it's obviously very, very different from being a fan. But there's obviously tough times in every football club. There's always going to be times. But since I've been in the club, since December, it's been a roller coaster of a ride, and I've loved every single second of it. So, but it is a big difference from being in the stands to actually being the commentator, because it's just a open eyes moment, if that makes sense. You get to see so much more and know so much more than what you would as a fan.
Yeah, it makes sense. Right, let's talk about goal threats then for Kings Lynn. So the striker that the attention of most Scunny fans will be drawn to is Johnny Margaret, ex-Scunthorpe striker. To be honest, it was a really disappointing run for him at our club. He fell really unlucky with an injury, but 10 goals for him so far this season from 29 games. And Gold Omateo has chipped in with 9 as well. How have they been up top?
So we went through a phase where Gold was either injured or he was on the sideline. So it gave Johnny the time to step up and be the man that was leading the front line and back, like putting the goals in the back of the net and everything. And that worked well. But what we realised was that, and we went on a little bit of a run where, with formation wise, we had both Gold and Johnny up top. And I think it was against South Shields where we won 3-1. Gold got a brace, and Johnny was part of all 3 goals. He was always in and around the build-up play and everything. And Johnny's such a clever player with the way he moves. Like when you see him during like the first 15 minutes of a game, you see him assessing absolutely everything. His head's pivoting. Honestly, I think he's an absolutely wonderful player. Obviously, he didn't have the best time with you lot, but like down to injuries and all of that. But he did really step up, and his clever footwork and his vision especially is second to none sometimes. And obviously with Gold, he got the brace against Farsley at the weekend. He seems to be coming back into form. But Johnny was on the bench and Gold was starting, and he played pretty much most of the game until Johnny come on around the 75th minute mark, I'd like to
Okay.
say. But Johnny had just as much shots as Gold did. It's just they're 2 different types of players because Gold's very physical. He's got the height with him, and he can kind of. This probably isn't the right way to say it, but he can kind of bully a defender if he
Yeah.
wants to. Whereas with Johnny, his game style is a bit different. He's so like locked in when it comes to like the vision, the plays that he's looking for. Sometimes the end product isn't always there, but that's the same with any striker. They go through patches of scoring lots and then where they have like a dry spell. But with Johnny, he's someone to watch out for if he starts, the same as Gold. Gold's obviously in very good form. I mean, in his last 8 matches, he's got 4 goals, and in those 4 goals have both come within 2 games where he's got a brace. So if he scores once, he's more than likely going to score again, as we've seen throughout the season. But yeah, we went through times where we were looking at changing formation on what would suit each striker differently. But now we've realised that we can play them both up top and can also play one by themselves and have the other one on the bench. They both play very different roles, but both are very essential to what we've done this season. So it's definitely eyes on them at the weekend as well as it obviously is for your players.
You talked there about a couple of different formations. What's been the most recent one that's kind of yielded a lot of success for you, with you obviously being in 7th in the table?
Yeah, I mean, we did go through, I think it was about 5 games where we played 3 at the back and used Freddie Sass in the back 3. And then when we had Finley Armstrong, who was on loan from Rochdale, he'd play left wing back and Dylan Crowe would play right back. But then essentially it would be a 3 at the back, then a 5 in midfield. And then you'd have Josh Amami, either Johnny or Ross Crane on the left and Josh Amami on the right. But then we've brought in Matty Warburton. He come from Solihull Moors, and he's an absolutely fantastic player. And with him, formation wise, you can either have him in the 10, just like after the striker, or he can play out on the left. I think he did a bit of both against Farsley at the weekend. But our formation that we've stuck to for the majority of this season is 4 at the back, and then we'll have Greg Taylor and Cody Johnson, the 2 in front in midfield. But it changes variously on who plays in midfield depending on the team we're up against. But Greg Taylor and Cody Johnson is the holding midfield, and then you'll have Josh Amami, Ross Crane, Matty Warburton, either Gold or Johnny, or Finley Barnes in the attacking area, or just drop him in the high end of midfield. So it's kind of a bit unpredictable on what the exact formation is going to be, but there is a very similar pattern of four at the back with our captain Greg Taylor and then Cody Johnson in front. And Cody is so good. He's very young. He's the Stockport loanee, but he can just get a grip of a midfield, and he's got a lot of experience in the way he plays for his age. So no matter who's with him, and it's the same for Greg Taylor. He's obviously got the experience with him. Whoever anyone's got with them in midfield, it doesn't really matter. They all bring high quality, which I think our battles in midfield against Scunthorpe obviously is probably going to be the big talking point if there isn't any goals in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Right, hit us up then finally, just before you go, Noah. What's your score prediction for the weekend?
Score prediction. Oh, I mean, I've had to think about this one long and hard because we've got this predictor thing on our app, but I put Kings Lynn 2-1 Scunthorpe only based off of the fact of the 3-1 win that we had at home against you lot last season. So I think Lynn are going to win 2-1, but it really could just go anyway.
Okay, then. Right. This is going to be an interesting game. It's certainly what I would describe as a 6-pointer, Marco.
Yeah, 100%. I'd even go down as to say, if we win on Friday, I think we win the league. I think it all comes down to Friday. I do think either Kiddie or Brackley may drop up somewhere. Thought it might have been Saturday. But no, I think this is huge. I think it's our toughest fixture of a three. If we can go there and get 3 points, I know it's already in our own hands, but I think we'll be in a really good situation. But I think it's the toughest out of three, and it'll be a tough test. Be interested to see how Butler goes there and approaches it. I know he said before the game last week, he said a lot of the teams we're playing will have to come at us because they're going through the playoffs. And Friday's no different. We are going to have to at least have a go. So yeah, be interesting. I'd sooner play a team like this than one that's going to sit back, because I think that probably plays into our hands a little bit more. If we go front three, if Whitehall's back, it's exciting. Am I nervous? Yes, as hell. But let's just hope the players aren't. But no, I'm excited. It's going to be a really tough game, man.
Gareth, you could sense the nerves on Saturday. It was absolutely palpable. It came through when I listened back to the commentary after the game, and certainly being in that stadium, you could feel like the tension. Are you expecting a similar kind of atmosphere on Friday?
Yeah. There will be a nervousness because we know how much the fans know how much this game means. You know, we need to win. But then again, on the same hand, Kings Lynn also need points. So their fans will also have a nervousness and an edge about them. I know Marco was saying about this game being like, you know, the hardest of the three for him. But I think Peterborough Sports will be on the Monday because they've got nothing to play for. And it's going to be for us to break them down, I feel. You know, like Kings Lynn, Hereford, points to play for. They've got to come and play football. They've got to, you know, attack. My other fear is that they go in front and then try and defend that lead, and we've got to break them down again. But yeah, I think there will be a nervousness, and we've just got to stick with the team. Even if we do go 1-0 down, we've got to get behind the team and let them know that we're there and that we're still supporting them, that we're still believing. You know, there's nothing worse than a fan base, an away crowd that you're losing and you know you need something, and getting tetchy and edgy and shouting abuse and this and that. You know, we've just got to stick with the team massively, whatever happens.
We've got to stick with him. We've got no other option. Becky, we talked there about the tension, the nerves. What kind of game are you expecting?
Probably the same as the last game, to be fair. Very nervy. We need to remember, we have been so used to hearing people say, when people come to play us, we're their cup finals. But the tables have turned massively now. These next couple of games are our cup finals, and we have to go give it. And I do agree with Gareth. I think Peterborough Sports will sit back. They have nothing to play for, apart from dignity. We took their manager in Jimmy Dean. So they have nothing, whereas Hereford have to come and Kings Lynn have to come for us. However, I do remember going to Kings Lynn. I've seen yourself there last season. Didn't they score 2 goals in a matter of minutes as well? And
Defensive calamities as well.
Yeah, and it wasn't a nice place to go to. I don't know if that was just because it was a night game. It just wasn't nice. And I remember Barrows, obviously he can't play now. Barrows and Clunan had an absolute shocker of a game. And it was really hard for them to go back. So I'm just hoping Clunan keeps his head this time because we really need him as a skipper to keep his head. So I'm expecting a nervy game, but I hope for a solid game where we're in control, but who knows?
Marco, Becky mentioned there about, Kings Lynn being a horrible place to go. Of course, nobody likes them, do they, as that famous chant says?
God's sake. I'll never forget that. But no, it will be a tough place to go. I do fear for Friday. A lot of me is very optimistic, well, pessimistic really. But yeah, look, it'll be tough. Their fans will be up for it. Like I said, they've still got something to play for. Brackley haven't really got those teams. They're not really playing the teams that have got something to play for. So a lot of these are the tough ones. But look, we're here now. It's going to be tough. But look, Clunan needs to rise to the occasion. I thought it was fantastic on Saturday. I think he's probably in the best form at the minute as he ever has been at a club. So yeah, no, it's exciting. Let's hope they can obviously make a big statement on a return back to their old club. I know Barrows will obviously travel, but obviously he won't be involved. But yeah, be interesting.
I feel none of your excitement. My stomach is a pit of nerves. After last year's heartbreak, I just can't get excited. I don't know why. I just can't do it.
I'm trying not to think about football. I'm genuine all week, and it was a lot easier last week. Obviously, after the defeat, I was genuinely just like, well, that's it, and sort of gave into the playoffs. But now look, it's 3 games, 3 wins. I thought Saturday were quite comfortable against a team that everyone seemed to be quite worried about. Look, there's no reason we can't do it.
Can I just say as well about players going back to Kings Lynn? There's also Denton.
Yeah.
He gets an awful lot of stick from the Kings Lynn fans.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot about his lifestyle.
So, but he's got to keep his head as well.
He's not been a very good boy in Kings Lynn, has he?
I do believe, though, obviously, apart from Ross Barrows because he can't play, Clunan and Denton are 2 different players this season than there was last season. Especially Clunan. Clunan is leagues above of what he was last season. And that's not me criticising him being horrible, but just how he comes across, how he plays, how he dictates the game. He's just a different player now. So I have every hope in it. I have a lot of confidence in Clunan. He's a great captain.
I think Dents has probably even won Max Bell around this season with his performances. He's been outstanding. Guys, I've got to pick your brains on something. Now, you made a bit of a case for the fact that our toughest game might actually end up being Peterborough Sports because of the fact that they, in inverted commas, have nothing to play for. Now, I'm going to chuck it back at you then. Doesn't that follow that Brackley are going to have some tough tests? I'm looking at their fixtures, and Oxford City, that'll be a tough game for similar reasons, but also Leamington away. Let's not forget, in competitive games, they've played Leamington away 12 times and never won in normal time. They've lost 5 and drawn 7.
Well, when was the last time they played Leamington away?
A couple of seasons ago.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I had it up.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You look on paper and they all look easy games. People will look at us playing Peterborough Sports and think, yeah, easy game. But they're not. They're the teams that are going to screw you over one way or another. I'm not worried about Kings Lynn. I'm not worried about Hereford. I'm worried about Peterborough Sports because they've got nothing to play for. And I think, Brackley Oxford, that's a bit of a derby game. Oxford are going to want to put one over Brackley. There will still be twists and turns in these final 3 games.
Last time they played there was at the end of, it was December 2022. So,
okay, so fairly recent.
Yeah, they were in the National League North, weren't they?
Well, wasn't back in the 1930s or anything.
No. Listen, this record only goes back to 2009.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've played each other a lot. They've played each other a lot in the past 15 years. So that's the point.
Right, yeah. And that's a mental thing, isn't it, as well? Yeah. That can be a mental thing.
Because the fans will know that. I only know that because a fan put me onto it, and then you dig a bit deeper and you go, blimey, there is something in that. Yeah. So if we know about it, that their fans sure as hell know about it.
Definite.
It is a factor.
Yeah.
Right, Marco, before we wrap it up, I mean, we've got a little bit more to talk about, but Johnny Margotts, is he going to come back to bite the iron?
Do you know, I watched, sadly enough, I watched a couple of Kings Lynn games. I think it was Tamworth last season because I was still watching it thinking, maybe there's a chance. But I was really impressed with Margus. He looked really sharp. I couldn't tell you how many goals he's got this season.
He's got 10 goals from 29 games.
It's not bad going really at all. And look, he had a terrible time at Scunthorpe, didn't he? With obviously his injury after he signed from Lincoln. He came in held in high regard. I thought he was going to have a good little spell at us, but no, look, he's a good player. Let's hope he doesn't come back to haunt us. I know we mentioned earlier with the back four. Look, I think Evans, Coogan, and even Boyce, they've all been fantastic this season. Look, Boyce was having one of his best seasons. I thought he had a really good season, and Evans comes back, and you just cannot drop him. He's took the chance with both hands. He's been colossal at the back. He's not put a foot wrong. And I mean, if you'd have asked me before pre-Boyce injury, I'd have said Boyce and Coogan was your two. But no, Evans has been fantastic, and let's just hope that back four continues. And I think Butler's main thing will be a clean sheet. We're not losing, and yeah, if we can get that, grab a goal. Look, it can be nasty. It can be 1-0. It can be 6-0. I don't care. Just get the job done. So Margotts or anybody, I can't see him scoring.
Right, let's chuck us predictions in then. Gareth, what are you going for?
A nervy 1-0.
Nice. Marco, over to you.
I'm going to stick with my original because I've changed the last few weeks and we keep winning 2-0 now. 2-0. It's back.
2-0's back. Becky, what do you reckon?
2-0 Robertson Scales to score.
Nice. I'm going to go 2-1 and Michael Clunan will get the winner. It's written in the stars. It's written in the stars.
Can you imagine?
Would he celebrate?
I'd do another celebration.
All of that magnitude, he's got to celebrate it, surely.
I'll be annoyed if the top's not off.
It was very good with him last season, though, wasn't they?
Yeah, but if he scores a 90th minute winner, are they equally as good?
Look, we will celebrate enough for him. we will hoy him over the stands. Rest assured. But I hope so. I hope obviously we know his loyalties lie with Kings Lynn somewhat, but I hope just the sheer meaning of the game, probably he'll lose his head.
Guys, Clunan isn't scoring.
I don't know.
Let's just you can clip that. Let's just get that out there. I've seen so many opportunities where it's edge of a box and was like, shoot. And I'm like, he wouldn't shoot if he was another 15 yards forward. He's not going to shoot now. That's just not his game. That's nothing against Clunan. It's not his game.
I'm going to put a bet on now. Clunan scores.
Yeah, I'm good. First goal scorer.
Yeah. We've got to.
It's written, mate. I'm telling you. Right. Before we wrap it up, of course, we talk all things Scunthorpe United on this podcast, so I don't want to flog it too much, but let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about Hereford on the last day and ticket gate, as I'm sure it's being branded. So nothing OTT excessive, but Becky, just break it down for us. What's happening?
I knew you'd come to me first. What do you want my opinion on it?
Yeah, just talk to me about it.
So I think it was an absolute shit show. What I don't agree with is I think it should have been a free-for-all, just like the rest of the season. I've been very open about that. I think the tickets should have been given to Scunny if they were going to do some kind of loyalty scheme, because it would never work with Hereford. Some people didn't even get the link. I know quite a lot of people that didn't get a link. They had to rely on their dads or their friends to get them tickets. It was an absolute shit show. Was it done right? No. It should have been a free-for-all. Is it something the club could have changed? No, it wasn't in their hands. So it's all right, us as fans going, the club should have done this. The tickets weren't actually in their hands to give. So there's not a lot...
No, but it was a link. It was the same link that you could buy tickets on, which was distributed to season ticket holders an hour before it was put on their social media. So that absolutely is with the club. They absolutely did make a decision there to give it to the season ticket holders before. And I'll be honest, Gareth, my own personal opinion was it was probably the right one. They maybe felt like they had to prioritise somebody, and with us not having a bonus scheme, it would be incredibly difficult at this level to have any kind of bonus scheme because of the fact that away tickets, you buy them from source. In lieu of that, I thought season ticket holders was as good a place as any to start. And that window, was maybe 40 minutes, 50 minutes before it went on general sale.
Whatever, I don't know what it was. But when they first put out any correspondence about the tickets, they put out if you're on the Hereford database.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Which I thought, well, that's fair enough because there were lots of fans last season travel down to Hereford and we didn't even know if the game was going to be on or not. It was freezing cold and we didn't know if it was going to be a frozen pitch postponed, but we went down in good faith hoping that the game would be on. So I originally thought, well, fair play to the clubs. They're giving the opportunity to the ones that travelled last season first. They'll put the effort in, and then it's just going to go on general sale. And then it came out that it was going to be a Scunthorpe sending the link to just over however many thousand season tickets, and I was like, what? It's so confusing. It was so confusing. But whatever the club did, they were going to get vilified for.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You send it to season ticket holders. There's double, triple season ticket holders than there was tickets. So how do you work out? It's first come, first served there. So it should have just been like that for everyone. I mean, there should be a limit on how many tickets you can buy, say so. However, it should have just been first come, first served because there's no way the club could have physically had a positive experience with this. They was always going to get in the shit. And this is the point. There was a massive divide between people who got tickets and who didn't. Yeah, it's unfair. We want, it's the last game of the season. We might potentially go up. We want to all be there, and it's not on telly because of the blackout at 3:00. So it's a double whammy. It's horrific. But that's the thing. No matter what the club did, they couldn't have got it right. However, it is really unfair on the people, the faithful that do go week in, week out to away games. So, but you can't win.
I just say as well, it's not on telly, but I will have a vlog.
Are you going to live stream it though?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Watch along.
Yeah, watch along.
Dominic, Marco?
Yeah, no, look, I think you've covered it all there. The club couldn't win. I do agree with Barry in the case that I think they had to be seen as giving the season tickets that advantage and the first opportunity. I think they had to. Like I said, if they didn't, that had been the argument. They did, and then obviously I do think it's out of order if links weren't sent out all at the same time.
Yeah, that I think that's the thing that maybe that's hamstrung them a bit is the fact that clearly not all season ticket holders have that link.
But was everybody on the database that's got a season ticket? Did you opt into marketing?
It's a minefield, mate, isn't
it? That's the thing. You know, you can throw these things there and everywhere, but if you've not ticked a box to say yes, send me emails or whatever, you ain't getting that link.
Yeah, and look, we're on about this. Obviously, we're all, I won't say we're all, but we know social media. We're on social media around that. My grandparents and my granddad, he wouldn't even had a clue it was on sale.
Yeah.
So a lot of older fans who will have missed out, not even knowing they've came on, they wouldn't know any clue how to go to a link from an email. So look, but like you said, there's nothing they could have done to win. My only qualm would have been why hasn't everybody received the same link at the same time? That is frustrating.
It's season ticket holders, you mean?
Yeah.
I do agree with this.
Yeah, the fairest way to do it would have been to what Becky said. It would have been a free for all. But
remember Tamworth last season? People moaned that they didn't get a ticket, but it was fair game. You didn't get a ticket because you weren't quick enough, not because you didn't get sent a link by Scunthorpe. So they've added another hurdle that people can moan about. Does that make sense? Not moan about.
I do see the point. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's a hard. They couldn't win, but maybe they could have done better about it. I don't know. It's just one of them. It's a hard one, and having so little tickets. I mean, we knew this from the instance. They probably could have gave this information out a few days ago, maybe not just the hour or a couple of hours before. Maybe that's where the club could have been a bit better. They could have given more information out.
We lose on Friday. We're all back on sale. So.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The final rate. Yeah, the final thing on that is, sorry, Gareth, I will come to you, but the final thing for me on that would be, I'd just say, as long as, I have no issue really with how it went down. I understand it was messy, but what can you do? As long as that link wasn't distributed to anybody else before that window. So as long as, and I'm sure this didn't happen, but as long as nobody's friends or anything were getting that link sent to them, then I have no issues with it really. Gareth?
Oh, no, I was going to say as well, if you really wanted to go, you would sit in the home end and be quiet when you needed to be quiet.
You wouldn't.
We are not.
No, we are not. But there, if you do Google Map near Hereford, there are lots of postcodes with wonderful scenery. So,
But
but
I'm just saying the opportunity was there. You know what I mean? You've missed out
It-
on it. I
It's
was
still
ready.
there. It's still there, mate.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Do you know what I mean? If you're wanting to go that badly, you're gonna,
I was really sad. I was really sad at the beginning of the season, and it was last season as well. I actually registered for all clubs that we would play against, and I actually put a postcode of a home one just in case.
Becky, love, you've got too much time on your hands. Get a hobby.
I was
One that doesn't
fighting for the
involve
ticket.
Scunthorpe United.
Yeah, I know.
Right. We've flogged that far more than I intended to, if I'm being honest with you. But we had to talk about it. It's a topic of conversation that a lot of Scunny fans are talking about. So let's wrap it up for this week. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in once again to the INL podcast. And we'll see you, we hope, before Easter Monday. We are planning on doing a podcast. It'll be a bit of an emergency one, but all hands to the pump, get something out for you. I thought you were
an impromptu podcast with a double weekend.
Yeah, you love it. Double ender. All right.
Oh dear.
Wonderful.
So many podcasts, you wouldn't know what to do with them. We'll proliferate content straight into your eardrums. Thank you so much for listening once again to the INL podcast, and we'll see you in Kings Lynn up the iron.